it looks like everything have it.
Hey everybody, welcome to Back Issues himself.
I'm Ethan.
I'm Ben.
And I'm Tiffany.
Happy holidays from here at ComicPop. We want to thank you all so much for joining us for this Christmas-tacular episode of Back Issues. We have fun here.
Yeah.
We celebrate the holidays like no other, where we sit on a couch and talk at you for about an hour or so. Yeah, I think...
Oh, you know what we can do? We can play around with the green screen. Look, now it's a crackling fireplace.
Oh, there we go.
Yeah.
You're not going to put a crackling fireplace up, are you? You're going to put something terrible.
I'll put up a video of you from like about 20 years ago.
Yes! Yay!
It is the season for nostalgia. And what better book to pick than Whatever Happened to the Cape Crusader from Neil Gaiman and Andy Kubert.
What are you talking about?
We're doing...
Batman's still fighting crime,
Yeah,
right?
what happened to him? Nothing. He's doing fine. He's a pillar of the DC universe, and without him, DC would crumble and fall at the end. Literally just an engineered recreation of the Alan Moore, Dave Gibbons, Whatever Happened to the Man of Tomorrow Superman story, which was, we've done that episode, but for some context, the idea here was that they were ending Superman in Action Comics, and they were rebooting it, like ending those books, and they were just going to stop. But they were like, oh, well, let's end them because it's technically the end of the pre-crisis continuity. We're rebooting. So they had Alan Moore do the last Superman story, which was a two-parter, from those two titles. And it was much celebrated. It's a sweet little story, which wraps up with Superman looking at the camera and giving a wink and a nod and saying, like, the end, so long. And then, 20 years later, DC was doing a similar thing with Batman where they were like, hey, we're killing Batman. And everyone was like, horse shit. And they were right. And they killed him anyway. Grant Morrison was doing Batman at the time. They did a book called Batman R.I.P., which we also did on Back Issues. Boy, we've done a lot of books on Back Issues. And then that transitioned into Final Crisis, which we also did on Back Issues. And then... Batman died. He didn't really die because he went to the Omega Sanction.
Yeah, he
went
went through time, right?
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, he was time.
The
Batman.
living death.
Yes, the death
You know
of
what?
his life.
Fine, give it to me.
Right. Yeah, he took it. But he didn't really die. But the idea was that they were taking Batman off the table for like a minute, and even then they did like a series about him not being dead. But they were ending those two books, so to speak, Batman and Detective Comics. And so they're like, oh man, we're kind of like in a clandestine situation where we're going to end those two books. Also, it was on the horizon for the reboot, which was still 2 years away, but on the horizon and definitely on their minds.
Right.
So they were like, hey, we should get somebody who's great to do the last two Batman stories. We'll approach it from the perspective of Whatever Happened to the Man of Tomorrow. We'll call it something like Whatever Happened to the Cape Crusader, only more clever. And so they asked Neil Gaiman, and they were like, hey, Neil, do you want to do the last Batman story? And Neil was like, yes, because he was away from comics. He had actually stepped away from comics for a while, and he especially stepped away from superhero mainstream comics in a big way, particularly DC stuff. And he loves Batman, so he said yes to this job. He also probably likes money, but he loves Batman because, like, when he was a little boy in England, they got the Adam West, Burt Ward Batman show from '66 over there, and he watched them. His dad actually encouraged him to watch them. And so he watched them and fell in love with Batman. There's a foreword in this volume, which you can find in the description below this video, where he essentially says, I love Batman. I'm a big Batman fan. You may not know this from the little Batman work I've done, but I'm a huge Batman fan. I shoehorned him into Sandman because I like Batman. He has no place in that book.
No.
But I wanted him in it because I wanted to write about Batman for a second.
That's fair.
Like, it's one panel.
It is.
But
there he was anyway.
But he's technically, and he did that to say, this is all part of the same thing.
Yes.
Right. How come DC never asked him to write Batman before?
I'm sure they did.
And what, he shied away from it?
Yeah,
or
he was just kind of...
maybe he didn't have any good ideas?
Honestly...
Well, don't forget, he did that Green Flame thing where he wrote that and then they never used it.
Yeah, that's true.
Because of the change in continuity.
Yeah, there are Neil Gaiman Batman stories, but for the most part, I'm sure he was just kind of like too close to it. You know, if you love something so much, you either just enjoy it or you just write it until you can't write anymore.
He was my pitch for the guy who should have taken over between King and the
And
whatever
Tynan.
or whoever was going to be next,
Yeah,
whoever
who
was
was
going to
ever
be the
gonna be
next
next,
current
yeah.
run. Like,
Right.
do like a mini.
Yeah,
with
do like a
Neil
6-issue
Gaiman.
miniseries. They had a Warren Ellis mini that was just sitting in a drawer for too long. That they easily could have just been like, this is Batman, just keep the numbering going, and just put that in there too. But they were like, but why would we do that when we could have 2 bites of the same apple? So that became its own miniseries. So there's 2 Batman books going on.
Is that Graveyard or
Yeah, Batman's
Gravestone
Grave.
or whatever that?
Whatever happened to the Cape Crusader was Neil Gaiman's love letter to Batman and his approach to what would be the last Batman story. Because they were like, do the last Batman story. Like, end Batman and Detective Comics the way Alan Moore ended Superman and Action Comics and ended them in kind of this fun imaginary story. He doesn't really die in this book in continuity. You know, it's not like they were like, okay, we're going to kill him, we're going to set up all these things, and then Neil Gaiman will do like the coup d'etat on Batman. It was just kind of like, here's 2 issues that wrap up those 2 books. And it becomes this kind of like thought-provoking, you know, esoteric, did this really happen kind of story, as opposed to a concrete, this happened.
Right.
Batman fights Bane for the umpteenth time, and he doesn't just break his back, he breaks his neck. Like, no. He's just like, here, let me just tell you a Batman story. And from Alan Moore's perspective, when he did Whatever Happened to the Man of Tomorrow, he was like, Superman gets a happy ending because he's Superman. Superman's a bright, optimistic, happy character. He gets a wink and a nod. He gets to be like, bye, I retire. I get to cash in my chips. I did it.
Yeah.
With Batman, the only way Batman can end is if he dies. Batman's
Because
a
like
god.
he'll never quit.
He'll never stop. And that's the mantra of Batman, is he never stops. That is who Batman is, and that's the conceit of the entire book of Whatever Happened to the Cape Crusader is. Batman is a person, so he will die, and Batman never stops, so how do you square that circle? Like, how do you deal with somebody who will never stop but also has to die?
Right.
And so
they
he
have
wrote
to
this.
die never stopping.
Right, exactly.
As a result of never stopping.
Right.
Like John Henry Irons.
Yeah.
So did. So did Gaiman want to work with Kubert?
They paired him with him.
I
He
wasn't
didn't
sure
ask
because
for him.
this is literally the 1602 team.
I know, which I'm sure they were wholly cognizant of. But no, apparently in the foreword he says they told him Andy Kubert was the artist on the book.
Okay.
Like, he will do it.
And is this post 1602?
Very much so.
Okay.
Yeah. 1602 was the early 2000s. This was 2009.
Okay.
So I'm assuming 8 to 9 years later.
Is there a reason this is a Christmas on the Christmas episode, or
I'll let you decide why I picked this for
Okay.
Christmas.
All right.
Because Gotham is a rundown, almost Dickensian city.
There you go. Yeah, I mean, you can draw.
so
the
every
parallels
Batman
from
book
that.
is a Christmas book? Then.
Exactly. That's why it writes itself.
And Alfred is British, so it also helps
Yeah.
too.
Also
Bridge
that.
the gap there.
Yeah.
The story unfurls, and we're in Gotham, and Batman's talking to his embodied voice. We don't really see Batman. He's kind of like this spectral voice. He's the story's unfurling in front of him, and he doesn't really know what's going on, and he definitely has the same questions you're probably going to have about like what's going on here.
Yeah.
So there's this dirty alley. It's Crime Alley. I'm not gonna
Right.
sugarcoat it here. We're in Crime Alley. There's this kid, adult, I don't know, this guy sitting in the alley.
He's
Thank
an
you.
urchin.
He's a street urchin.
Oh, okay.
urchin. More Dickensian stuff.
Yes.
Oh. So the Catmobile rolls up, which is what you'd imagine it would be. It's a beautiful luxury automobile with a giant cat head on the front.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah.
Selena Kyle hops out, and this is a nod / homage to an older style of Batman story.
Yeah.
Where Selena Kyle would drive a themed vehicle.
And
The
like
cat
a
on the
Rolls
front.
Royce, like 1924.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah. She's not a car nut. This is just, she's driving out of time.
You're
Right.
going to the dealership being like, I like that, but
I have one note.
it's a pretty big one, but I think
Yeah.
you can do it. Thinking big cat face right on the front.
Right on the front.
Just weld
like
it
a
right
a
on
hoard
there.
ornament?
No, more like the front end of the car.
As big as you can get it.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, what?
Without obscuring the headlights.
You heard me.
Has there?
So like, you want a statue of a cat on your car?
Like a face.
Oh,
I'll be in next week to get it. Meow.
She breaks for some alley cats to cross her path.
Naturally.
She then hops out of the car,
Yeah.
and there's a...
was one of them a black cat? Does it give her bad luck for the rest of the book?
I mean, you can't really
They're
tell.
silhouetted. So there's this
They're all
guy
black,
who's waiting outside to watch the cars. He's clearly like an opportunistic ne'er-do-well, but he also is offering to watch her car.
You're really saying that because he has a knife and patches on his clothing and a bowler hat. So he must be like, hello, miss.
Yeah, exactly.
Watch your car for you.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Well, usually when strangers offer to watch your car, it's not
Then
a
a
good
brandishing
sign.
knives.
Well, I mean,
Well,
it's
they're
just
not
a
actually
weird
watching
thing
your
to
car.
Yeah.
do.
I'm
Yeah.
just cleaning my
Yeah, like,
fingernails.
does my car need watching? What's happening?
Well, she's in a pretty bad neighborhood.
Yeah.
But he offers to watch it, and
And it's a fancy car.
he asks for 50 cents for the job. And
See, to me, that's a shakedown.
I'll take a couple chuppins.
feels yeah.
You want to purchase some protection for your vehicle?
He's more or less playing it straight.
Okay.
So he's on the up and up. He's just like, look,
I'll watch your car.
I'll
It's
watch
a
your
bad
car.
spot.
Well, we'll
you can
find
give me
out.
50 cents,
Maybe
it's
the
fine.
knife is a way of indicating like I'm
can
tough
protect
from this
it.
area and I
Yeah.
can protect it. So
Yeah.
I got the stones to back it up.
All right.
Sure.
So anyway, she says no, I'm good, and all the cats in the alley descend on the car and just sit on it.
So
'Cause
she
it's warm,
controls
right?
the cats?
Yeah, it's more like the cats know that
They're friends
she
with
is.
her.
They're friendly.
Yeah.
they're on.
She
on
feeds
good
them all,
terms.
and they. Yeah.
I get it doesn't matter. It's a visual to say she's Catwoman.
Yeah.
The cats respond to her.
The car
cool.
smells like catnip.
Right. Well, because the guy also says, "Don't touch the cats. These are alley cats. These are not friendly cats." And she's like, and she plays with them, and they respond to her. So anyway, the cats go onto her
And then she
car.
throws a cat on him and it eats him.
Yeah, it transforms into a puma. But so then she goes into the bar, and the bar is like this old, rundown, empty bar, and there is a man behind the bar, bartender. It's Joe Chill. Not mincing words here. It's Joe Chill, the man who killed the Waynes.
He works
Oh.
in Crime Alley?
He's running the bar. We're not in a literal bar here.
Oh.
This is not really Crime Alley. This is not really a Batman story where Batman's going to
okay.
do stuff
Okay.
and fight crime.
Okay.
This is more like the bar at the end of Quantum Leap.
Oh, okay. It's not like.
Now I
It's
gotcha.
not like Joe Chill is like the ultimate, like, I returned to the scene of the crime
Yeah.
and I set up shop.
And
Yeah.
I live here.
Yes, it's-
No. But
Come on down to Joe Chill's,
But yeah.
where the drinks are always chilly.
So Selena talks to him and she says, I heard you were dead. And he goes, I wouldn't miss this. And he says, the service is in the back. So she goes into the back, Selena does, and where she is met by Alfred, and there is a wake for Batman. Batman is dead, and Selena is there to attend Batman's wake or funeral. They call it a funeral. It looks like a wake. Moving on.
Is this like an Empire Records where it's all set up and they're all like going to say stuff over Batman, but he's not actually dead? Just to like get him a feel of like what it would be like if he was gone?
No. Nothing is
No,
like
it is not
Empire
that.
Records.
Okay.
So as a reader, you're looking at this, you're like, okay, this is not like real.
Oh. Immediately.
Well-
Once the Catmobile shows
Yeah, well, I was
up-
gonna say, is the Catmobile ever a thing?
Yes.
Oh.
I mean, I guess, here's the thing.
I've never seen
In like the 50s.
Okay.
I could see a reader being like, okay, Gaiman's just making some deep dives here.
Right.
And so, like,
And he
maybe,
is.
like, up to a point, you think, like, this is just weird, or it's, like, Gaiman doing his thing. But then there's the other person who's, like, Gaiman likes story.
Yeah.
And so, like, I have to, like, read into this a little more deeply.
The reality is the first page, Batman says, where am I?
Yeah.
Right.
And
So
the
you know
disembodied
it's
voice
like,
says, you're in Gotham. Just generically speaking. Am I dreaming? No, you're not dreaming. So you know you're in for a dream-like experience.
right.
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 So,
Okay.
and, well, by the way, Gaiman also, we go down memory lane when it comes to Batman imagery.
Memory Alley?
Memory Alley, if you but Gaiman asks Kubert to draw like certain artists to evoke the visuals that he's trying to reference.
Oh, that's cool.
And Andy Kubert's approach was, according to Gaiman, that he said, I didn't draw like Dick Sprang or Brian Boland. I drew as though they were trying to draw like me.
Okay.
Whoa.
Yeah. and Gaiman was like, that approach, whether it was horseshit or not, worked so well for this book because it doesn't look like Kubert trying to ape off of stuff. It looks more like a natural kind of even, like ebb and flow. And it's something where I didn't even realize the change in the art until it was already happening. You know, like when I would go to a page or a panel, I go, how long has it been looking like this? And then I'd look back and it was only like those two panels. And I'm like, oh my God. Like,
That's really cool. And that's like really introspective because that means that Kubert has to be aware of what makes his art
yes.
in order to then put himself in the headspace of another artist trying to replicate his own. Like,
Right.
that's nuts.
Yeah. I wonder what his approach was when he drew Dark Knight 3: The Master Race. Then the villains start rolling up. We got Two-Face that pulls up in his Two-Face themed vehicle.
Yes.
One half's a gorgeous old car, the other half's a ruined version of that car. Guy offers Two-Face to watch his car. Two-Face goes, I'll make you a deal. If this coin lands up without a scar on it, which is to say heads, but he says marred or unmarred. But he says, if it comes up unmarred, I'll give you $1. If it comes up marred, I'll kill you and stuff you in my car as a warning to other people not to mess with it. So it comes up heads and the guy gets to survive.
And
he gets a buck off of it.
Smile.
So then...
A weird thing about Two-Face I've never really noticed until now, while his entire body is messed up, like everything has changed, he still has nice teeth on the bad side of his face. When I look at the grill on the car, it reminds me of his face.
Yeah.
But the grill is all messed up one side. And I'm like, his teeth are fine.
Yeah, his grill is okay.
Maybe they're veneers. Like he
That's
was
true,
like,
yeah.
I can't.
Vanity is his greatest sin. So then Gordon's, Barbara, and Jim go, and Jim has this kind of monologue where he's like, yeah, Batman's dead, which is exactly what anyone would expect. I remember I remember thinking about this day, and I never really thought it would ever come, but I knew it would. You know, I'd go into the precinct, and people would say, whatever happened to the Cape Crusader? And I'd say, what do you think happened? He died. And
He was a one-man army.
Yeah.
You can't survive like that.
And so Barbara goes, Dad, please. And he's like, I get to say this, Barbara. And Barbara's, of course, in the wheelchair, so it's pre-fixing.
Right.
Barbara, I'm getting all this out of my system so I don't go in there and try and arrest everybody.
Yeah, exactly. I'm going to a funeral with the Joker here. So there's a viewing. Selena's there over the body along with Edward Nygma.
Does he show up in a Riddler mobile?
We don't
with
even
a big question mark on the front.
We only have so many pages. We can't look at everybody's cars. But Riddler and Selena have like a back and forth where we indicate further that things are not as they seem. You know, like Riddler references that show. You know, he says, I never thought this would happen. We're supposed to like get into a scrape. Batman, gets captured or he's hurt, but then he's fine. Same bat time, same bat channel.
Oh.
And Selena's like, have we met before? And he's like, what are you talking about? You're Selena Kyle, aka Catwoman. I know who you are. And she's like, we've never met. Because this is another version of the Riddler. This is a previous version of the Riddler. Because there's multiple Riddlers. Not that like there are multiple men who have been Riddler in one continuity, but more like there's Edward Nash, there's Edward Nygma, there's multiple Riddlers, and the Riddler himself has been called different things.
There's Edward Norton.
There's Edward Norton, who should be the Riddler.
There's Jim Carrey.
Yeah. But anyway, this Riddler remembers there's a Catwoman, but this Catwoman doesn't, because she was created before Riddler was created, so doesn't remember.
Right. Okay.
Yeah.
So then the Joker mobile shows up, and Joker's like, "Hey kid, watch my car," and the kid's like, "I don't want to."
Yeah,
And
no.
he says, "Why?" And he goes, "Because you'll kill me if someone hurts the car, but you might just kill me for no reason." And Joker's like, "Please, son, I kill people when it's funny. What could be conceivably funny about killing you?" And then he goes in,
Ouch.
and this kid sits on the stoop, and he agonizes over it. He goes, "If I watch the car, he'll come back and he'll kill me. But if I leave the car and someone hurts it, then he'll find me and he'll kill me." But so he's just stuck in this complete quandary.
Also, how many cars are you watching at the moment?
Yeah, right?
That's a lot of cars.
But only the two. The cat's got the Catmobile.
Yeah,
Got
that's
the
right.
Catmobile. So he's watching Two-Face's car.
So when does the big one show up in a giant ducky?
I don't think the alley could fit that stupid thing. It's in the sewer.
Yeah.
Where it belongs.
That's right.
By the way, Joker kills him. Not right now. You see it. It's in the panel when they're leaving.
Oh, wow.
He just does it anyway.
He's just dead.
He's just like,
He's like, now it's funny because you had this interaction.
yeah.
Well, we don't even see Joker do it. We just see that later on the kid is dead in the alley.
You know what? Joker didn't kill him. It was the tension of whether or not he should watch the car.
He killed himself.
It was a heart attack.
Is that the mystery of the book? Who killed this kid?
Absolutely not.
Oh, okay.
There's no mystery in the
And
book.
Batman has to get up from
It
the
was
grave
definitely
to find
Joker.
out.
Yeah. So anyway,
All right.
they're at the they're all mingling.
Yeah.
And we see that in the seats, Harley Quinn is there with the Batman the Animated Series version of the Joker.
Oh, she is.
Oh, wow.
Because when Joker arrived, he came alone because that is the old version of the Joker
Right.
from the 40s. This is Animated Series Harley and Animated Series Joker, who are having their own interaction, which is similar to the way Paul Dini would have written them.
Huh.
Oh, this is weird.
Yeah.
This is amazing.
Okay.
Yeah. Ra's al Ghul and Damian walk through the door the way they looked when Grant Morrison took over the book with Andy Kubert earlier in this book. Like in this series. So we know that we're covering all manner of continuity.
Okay.
That's nuts. And here's my girl.
Yep, Pammy's there. That's all she gets.
That's a
She has a backup in this volume.
Oh yay.
We're not going to cover it.
Okay.
So then it's time.
But you may read it afterwards.
I just went on an emotional roller coaster, people.
So Dick goes up there and he basically says, "Does anybody want to say a few words?" And so Selena Kyle walks up, and it's Selena Kyle, but she's older. This isn't Selena Kyle from earlier.
Oh,
It's another
geez.
Selena Kyle. I guess I'll tell you about the last time I saw Batman. And she tells a story, and the story is the adventure that you're paying money to see, because of course you're reading a Batman book. You're not here to watch a bunch of people walk into a room and be sad. I would, but also you get this too.
This is awesome. The who's who of who's here.
Oh, I know. You got Renee Montoya interacting with Harvey Bullock, and that Montoya is the Question Montoya, so it's current continuity Montoya. Montoya, of course, is also embedded in the animated series, so you got her too. You got Gentleman Ghost in there.
Yeah,
everybody's in
Mr.
there.
Freeze is there. Kirk Langstrom.
Yeah. Well, and of course...
Mad Hatter, who must have shown up in a teacup.
Yeah, right? Yeah. Alfred's handling the affair, and so the villains sit on the left, and everyone else sits on the right.
What is it, a wedding? This reminds me, like, this idea reminds me of the Almost Got Him.
Yes.
Like, kind of.
Right, yeah. I'm sure Gaiman loved that episode.
Yeah.
So the Catwoman's tale is a story in which we kind of like review the first interaction with Batman and Catwoman, or one of the first, because Batman and Catwoman either met in the post-crisis continuity in an alley when she was a prostitute, or on a ship when she was robbing an old woman, and she wore a big, scary cat mask, which she did do. Because Catwoman's gone through many costume changes.
We should go back to this one.
I would love to see this one again, where she looks like Beast from the X-Men.
That's freaking amazing.
But,
Only the head version. The rest of her is just a dress.
Yeah. By the way, she goes by the Cat during this period. So Batman tracks her down. They are on rooftops. They have a little merry dance where he's trying to take her down. Her mask comes off. He sees her, and he is so taken aback by her beauty that she then scratches his face. And so the two of them, and we're indicating that this is their life.
So, real quick, I think the Kit Kat diamond is from the old Batman.
Yes,
like
the 66
series.
show.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
I feel like that was an episode.
Yes, the Kit Kat diamond. I
That's
remember
cool. Damn. So she scratches him like what? With like...
With her claws.
She's got claws.
She's a Klaus.
This kitty's got claws.
Klaus, yes.
So,
And he said like it's like they've done this before.
Yes.
Like they know each other.
well,
Or
he
he's at least
finds
heard
out
of
that
her.
she's a woman for the first time in this in this interaction.
I'm sorry.
Well, he finds out that she's beautiful.
Yeah, she's clearly a woman.
Yes, the dress is rather. We get.
Look, I always found your body attractive, but that cat face, no.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sorry.
I
It
assumed you were
wasn't good
hideous
for me.
under there, but no.
Because why would you wear a mask?
All right.
But so then, basically, they have another adventure together where they're talking. They know each other for
Where she's fixed her costume.
Yeah, she's fixed her costume now. It's a costume you may remember. But they're having this back and forth where she's like, why are we doing this? Like, why are you being Batman? Why am I being Catwoman? He goes, listen, I need a partner. Maybe you and I could team up. And she's like, that's not what I'm talking about. Like, I want to quit. Maybe I could retire.
Couldn't we just not?
Right, maybe we could just not.
Yeah.
She's
I'm
like,
figuring I quit. I have a giant car with a cat on the front of it.
that's my dream.
She's like, you're hot, I'm hot.
Yeah.
That's all
That's
we're
all we
doing.
need.
doing?
That's it. We're
Yeah.
good.
It's like, I'm also rich, so
No, it's I'm hot, you're hot, let's dance.
Right. So she makes a reference to like opening up a pet store or something. She's like, whatever, I'll do anything.
And we'll sell cats
stop.
and we'll kill all the dogs.
Yeah. So
She should go work at an animal shelter.
I know, but Batman's like, I can't. I can't stop.
Right.
I'm not gonna stop.
Can't
So
stop, won't stop.
she's working to retire, and he's like, no, this is my life.
Yeah, this is it. And so she basically takes a stab in the dark. She goes, my parents were killed too. And it like hits him, and she's like, I didn't know. But I had a good feeling. And when I said that, I knew. And she's like, well, what if there was no more crime in Gotham? Would you stop then? And he's like, that's never gonna happen.
Right.
So then Catwoman goes on a one-woman crusade to stop crime in Gotham.
Wow.
There's like there's a bank robbery, and a dude jumps into his getaway car, and Selena's in there with a gun, and she's like, "You're done." She bribes Penguin to retire and move away from Gotham.
Wow.
She's dealing with a pimp. She pretends to be a young woman on the out of town, and so he brings her in an alley, and she's gonna mess him up, and Batman shows up, and he's like, you have to stop. What are you doing?
Hey, you're making me look bad.
Yeah. He doesn't say that, but he's more like, this is not what Gotham needs. And she's like, what do you know? Like,
You're being very effective. I'm not sure I like this.
right. Yeah. Well, he doesn't like how she's doing it because she's breaking all the rules because
Right.
she's like, I just want him to stop.
You know, people are going to blame me for this. If you beat up
He doesn't even
with the edge of their
indicate
life
whether
criminals,
that's
they're
a
going to be
good
like,
idea.
oh, the Batman's out of control.
Right.
You got to stop.
But she says, you know, please, I'm doing this for you. And he's like, well, stop it. And she says, I didn't see him ever again until one last time. Like, that was their interaction.
Ethan, now she's working at a place for quality cats and kittens.
That's her pet store.
That's
That's a pet
Kyle's
store.
Quality Cats and Kittens.
Yeah, it's not hers.
She opens her own pet store.
That
See?
would be
Oh.
my most favorite place in all of Gotham.
I know. So basically, Selina retires. After that interaction with Batman, she's like, I'm done. She stops heroing and stealing, and she just opens up a pet store for rich people who, like, it's like a grooming shop and
Yeah,
whatnot.
okay.
Yeah.
So
Makes sense.
she's having an okay life. She doesn't get to be with the man she loves, but she's at least doing something she enjoys. And then one night, Batman arrives at her shop, and he's bleeding to death. So he surprises a young first-time criminal. And the guy gets a lucky shot off, and Batman is now bleeding to death. And he's like, I remembered you were in this neighborhood. And so he passes out from blood loss, and when he wakes up, she has tied him to her sofa, and she has a pan collecting his blood, and she's letting him bleed out.
She's like, I'm going to drink this later. It's okay.
Right. She's like,
I'm going to lap it up
What?
from the saucer.
she's like, it's over for you. You have to, this is the only way you're going to stop. And so basically she lets him die.
Whoa.
What?
And Batman dies saying there was so much more I needed to do. And then he passes. And then she finishes her story at the funeral and says, and that's how Batman died. And
Wow.
Batman then chimes
What?
in from the text boxes saying, that's not how that happened. That's not how I died. That's how Robin Hood died. So then Alfred says, now I'm going to tell you a story.
Yeah. Thank you very much for all that bullshit. Now
Well,
here's some of my own.
Of course, the indication is that like everyone who tells a story is about to tell the story about how they killed Batman.
Right. Yes.
So
And it's done as the so-and-so's tale, like it's the Canterbury Tales
yes,
we're reading.
exactly.
Oh, so they're all doing this at, like, Batman's death can't be pinned on any one of them, right?
Right.
So Gordon's like, I don't know who to arrest.
Well, you'll see later that actually all of them are true.
Oh, interesting. Okay.
So the gentleman's tale. Yeah. So the gentleman's tale is the story of Alfred. This is true. When Alfred first started out, well, in certain continuities, when Alfred first started out, he was an actor, and he's part of an acting troupe. And when you look at his troupe, you're like, oh my God, there's like a beautiful woman, a short, stout, penguin-looking guy, and a mustache-twirling villain, and Alfred's in this acting troupe.
Yeah.
And one day he is called away because his father, whose name is Jarvis, by the way.
Oh.
weird.
That is real. That is in continuity. Alfred's father is Jarvis Pennyworth. And I'm like, what?
Who would put this on his tombstone? Jarvis Pennyworth. Well done, thou good and faithful servant.
That's only proper.
Yeah,
Well
he's
done.
the master
for
would
dying.
do that.
Yes, I guess.
That's well done. He
well,
did a good job.
That's like, you could also put that on, like, your dogs.
Yes. I have read.
He is basically Batman's dog.
Yeah.
That's not,
Bruce's
no,
dog.
it's not, because that's Jarvis.
Oh, Oh.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
it's the Wayne.
Well, but he was a butler too, right? He was in the family.
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, the idea is that
That's
Yeah,
the ultimate
butlery has
compliment
been
you can
passed
pay
down
to a
from
butler
generation
is to
to
call him
generation.
a faithful servant. Well
Alfred
done.
gets a call that basically his father Jarvis has contracted cancer, and so he's going to die. And now it's time for Alfred to take up his service of the Waynes.
Was that like, is that like in the agreement?
Yeah. Yeah.
Is that how that
Pennyworths
works?
shall serve the Waynes.
Yeah, it's a British thing.
For all time.
Yes, it's
Look,
like you're
I was-
in this life.
Yeah.
This
Yeah.
is what you do.
So Alfred moves into the Waynes, and he becomes the faithful servant of the Waynes.
Mm-hmm. Listen, you could do worse than being like, like a hereditary butler to like the richest family in the city.
Right.
Yeah, but he wanted to be an actor.
He did want to be an
Yeah,
actor.
that's true.
So
He
Alfred
had a higher
does.
So
calling.
he pretends to be
Serving
happy
rich
every
people.
day.
Yeah,
There,
exactly.
he's an actor.
Yeah, perfect. So Alfred does his Alfred thing. The Waynes get killed in the alley. Batman.
They do their Wayne thing.
They do their thing. Batman
the
gets
thing the Waynes
traumatized.
do.
He brings his body to peak physical condition and hones his mind and becomes Batman.
Mm-hmm.
He goes out for his first time as Batman, kind of in like a similar post-crisis continuity where it's like he gets on his motorcycle, gets his mask on, and
I don't know what to do.
and he smashes into a wall, and Alfred has to go recover him. He doesn't know what he's doing. He has no idea what's going on, and so Alfred brings him back, tends his wounds, and that
That's
didn't work.
hilarious.
So then eventually the bat goes to the window. Bruce Wayne becomes Batman, he spends his vast wealth on building a cave and a special car and a costume, and sometimes he goes out at night and catches criminals, but most of the time what he does is he pees his pants and cries in a cave because he's completely and utterly insane and traumatized by his family's murder. This Batman affectation is just another expression of his misery and his trauma. So Alfred is commiserating with his former acting mates about this problem that he has, this unique issue he has with his master. And so he says, Eddie, I need you to do this thing for me. You're really good with puzzles and with crossword things. So so essentially Alfred creates Batman's rogues to give him some character to fight over and over again. And so
they always lose on purpose.
Exactly. So Eddie Nash becomes the Riddler. He wants to be Riddle Man, but Alfred says Riddler. Rolls off the tongue a little better. And so he calls his entire troupe, and so you got Catwoman and Penguin and Scarecrow, and it works for a time. Sometimes it works, but other times it doesn't. And so Alfred realizes
the times it doesn't is when they're like, hey, he actually beat me up.
they're so committed to the role, they're happy to take the beating. But Alfred is like, nothing really aligned. So he realized he needed to get involved himself. So he put on some white makeup and lipstick and got a green hair piece and put it all together, but it didn't all completely coalesce until he smiled. And when the Joker was born, that's when Bruce's trauma finally aligned into being Batman. And so Batman's pain was alleviated by Alfred. Alfred's doing his job. He's actually marrying his love of being an actor with his duty as being the butler. He's serving Master Wayne. So what he didn't count on was that Batman was actually a detective. So one night, Batman discovers Alfred's Joker attire. And he says, Alfred, do you want to explain this? And he goes, I was thinking about trick-or-treating. And he goes, please spare me. I shook down the Penguin, and he told me everything. And so you were always the Joker. Like, why? And Alfred says, because you needed it. But now that it's over, we can stop. You can stop. The charade is over. And Batman says, I can't stop, because what if this idea, this concept of Batman, like that matters. It means something. It is real. And what if there's some place out there where Batman isn't a fraud or a phony? Would he stop? And Alfred's like, of course he wouldn't. And the signal comes on. The police department is not aware of the charade, but the signal is usually put on when there's a supervillain, and supervillains are all connected to
all made
Alfred.
up.
Right.
But the signal's now on, and Alfred didn't call for it. And Bruce says, duty calls, Batman's got to go. And so he just walks off into the night. He puts on his Batman costume and he goes out. Apparently, Eddie Nash, the Riddler, when the jig was up, he went completely insane. And so he kidnapped a bunch of kids, and he threatens to kill them at the zoo.
Oh my God, he's gonna let the giraffes eat them.
Yeah, he's in the giraffe
The
pit.
vicious
I
giraffe.
don't know why there's a giraffe pit. Like, we really need to worry about the giraffe?
Yeah.
Well, they're tall, you see.
they're very dangerous.
Yeah.
They
I
can hit you with their
know.
horns or kick you.
they'll gore you
One
with
swift
their
kick
powerful
and you're
necks.
down.
Yeah, but at the same time, like, they're all the way up there, and we're low to the ground, so maybe we'll be fine.
Yeah, if you're on equal playing field, maybe you won't feel so diminished. Anyway, so Batman faces off against Eddie Nash, the Riddler, for the first time. You know,
Right, for
Riddler's
for
actually
real.
a threat.
Right.
Yeah, he's like, no, I'm actually crazy. I'm gonna freaking kill you.
But Batman says, Eddie, it's over. It's all over. Give me the gun. And Eddie Nash goes, I'm not Eddie Nash. I'm the goddamn Riddler. I'm a Riddle Man.
He says, I'm the goddamn Riddler. Yes.
Neil Gaiman being like, gotcha.
Frank Razzie.
You ever gonna finish that All-Star Batman and Robin the Boy Wonder? I bet you don't.
Yeah, but where's the end of the book?
Riddler, please, there are children present. Watch your language.
But he says, please, just put the gun down. And then Nash shoots him in the face.
Wow. And he's like, yeah.
Yeah.
No.
Well, he says, did I do that? Like, he doesn't realize that he's even...
He says, did I do that?
Yeah.
I do
Yeah, that's all I can think. I'm sorry.
I know.
But it's good. He's crazy. Like,
Yes.
he's not in control of his actions.
And Alfred is like...
persona
No,
is
it's a
taken
riddle.
over.
He's asking, did I do that?
Oh no, maybe it's
What a
the-
riddle.
It'll be this. Did I just shoot Batman in the face?
No, he says he has a riddle that he offers Batman when he's about to shoot him. He goes, what's gray and black and has a gun in his face and I'm about to shoot him?
Well, it's
Riddle me
almost-
this!
I guess it's
Riddler,
like
put the gun down. Wrong answer, blam!
I guess it's like maybe he's having the moment where he's like, no, Riddler shot him.
Yeah.
Not Eddie.
Right. Did I do that?
Right. Like, oh, I'm back. What happened?
Oh,
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh,
Sorry,
kids,
the
I am
Riddler
so
shot
sorry.
you. Yeah.
Yeah. So then,
okay.
So then Alfred mournfully finishes his tale and then leaves.
Right. It's like, it's all my fault.
Yeah, and Batman is now kind of in the room. You see his shadow cast over Batman's actual body, along with an unspecified woman. And he says, "Am I dead?" And the woman says, "Not yet." And Batman says, "Are you Death?" And she says, "I don't think Death is a person." It's ironic that Neil Gaiman would say that.
Right.
Because to him, Death is a person.
Right.
An adorable, spunky goth person.
But she's not a person.
Right, no, she's Death. But he says, "Are you going to tell me what's going on?" And she says, "Well, you're the detective. Why don't you figure it out?"
Mm-hmm.
So then that's the end of the first story, of Batman's book.
Right.
Then Detective Comics has to end, and everyone has a chance to tell their story about how Batman died. And everyone walks up, and you got different characters like Pamela Isley and Azrael. And each Batman that they walk up to is drawn in a style of that character's.
Wow.
So you got like Joe Kelly Batman, Dark Knight Returns Batman, Jim Lee's Batman.
That's cool. Nice.
Is
And of
that,
course,
it's Gordon up at the top there. Oh.
And Gordon, Ivy, Azrael.
Yeah, but I like that Gordon does the Dark Knight Return one.
Yeah.
That's okay.
No, yeah. So then Batgirl walks up, but that's not Batgirl that you know. This is not Barbara Gordon Batgirl.
Okay.
This is Batwoman's sidekick, Batgirl.
Oh, wow. Huh.
Oh.
This is the young lady who will eventually marry Dick Grayson and have Robin too, when Batman and Batwoman get married and have children.
What?
And have a son. And so then they have kids named Batman 2 and Robin 2, and they literally spring into action, and they look like Batman and Robin, but they have friggin' Roman numeral 2s on their chest.
It's on their birth
vaguely remember
certificates.
that, yes.
She tells a story about Batman with her. He's dealing with this bomb. It's on a dead man's trigger, and she says, "There's nothing we can do." And he says, "There's always something you could do." And he holds the bomb and he leaps into the Gotham River and just absorbs the blast, just dies.
What?
That's like
That
almost
clearly
a
didn't happen.
like homage to some days you just can't get rid of a bomb. Like
Doesn't say it, but you don't need to.
Yeah.
But you know, showing his bravery. Mad Hatter tells a story about how he wouldn't stop, and this is the whole crux of the thing, where everyone tells a story that indicates why he wouldn't stop.
Right.
And of course, Batgirl thinks she killed him because she didn't think of a better idea than Batman sacrificing himself to die. Mad Hatter kills him, and he remarks that Batman wouldn't stop. Joker is telling his story about how he injected Batman with enough Joker toxin to kill a herd of elephants.
that is obviously it's a comically sized syringe.
Yes, but if you notice, it looks like Brian Boland's art, and
does,
they're
that's
at
what I'm
the
looking at.
circus, so it looks like it's the Killing Joke. So it's a different
Yeah.
version of the Killing Joke, where Joker got like a comically large syringe and pumped him full of Joker venom. But
Yeah, wow.
the Joker venom wouldn't make
that
Batman
too.
smile. He refused to smile, and Joker says, "Damn you! Why won't you smile?" And Batman says, "Because it's not funny." And then he died.
Wow.
And Joker says, "And he's right. It wasn't funny."
And I will never smile again.
Well, he frowns, and he frowns like he does in Brian Boland's Killing Joke.
Yes. He looks just, that's, yeah.
This one too.
That
Yeah.
one too, yeah, both of these are
This
just
Batman,
directly
that's the
from
Brian
it.
Boland Batman. He's
Yep.
even got the nick in his shoulder from the acid spray from Killing Joke.
Wow.
Oh my god!
Nice. That's awesome. Okay.
Yeah. So then, Dick Grayson Robin stands up and he talks about Batman.
Oh,
He
it's
doesn't-
like
Again, it's show Burt Ward Robin,
Mm-hmm.
but he tells a story about Batman and how he was holy.
He was,
He seemed holy.
yeah.
He just wouldn't stop, and then he died. Clayface tells a story about how he died saving the city, and well, no, he didn't really die saving the city. He actually died saving Clayface, and Clayface says, "I'm not worth it," and Batman says, "Everyone's worth it," and then he died.
Wow.
wow.
Bullock tells a story about how Batman was there was a horrible river, there's a horrible flood, and there's like crazy current. Batman jumped in to save this kid, and he threw Bullock the baby, and then the river took him away.
And Bullock is young and fit.
No,
And is handsome.
yeah, and it's Earth 1 Bullock. No, this is chubby Bullock.
That's a really good like
Yeah, this is animated series.
no, I meant the pant like what he says.
People say to me, "How do I keep going?" I say because he kept going.
That's awesome.
So Ra's al Ghul goes up, and now it's Neil Adams' art.
Yeah, because this Ra's al Ghul looks different than the Ra's al Ghul who
Yeah, well, that was Andy Kupert's Ra's al Ghul from when Ra's al Ghul was in the story like a year ago.
right.
This is Andy Kupert's version of Neil Adams' Ra's al Ghul when Batman fought him shirtless in the desert with a sword. But in this version, the scorpion stings him, and Talia doesn't administer the anti-venom on her lips like she did in the original story, and he died.
It was nice of him to put a shirt on.
I know, I appreciate that.
Yeah.
Well, when he first shows that, they only
the whole
fight
couch
with their
appreciates
shirts
that.
Then Superman goes up there and he tells a story about how he condemned Batman. He's like, you're worse than the worst of them. You're scary and you hurt people, and you're
scary and you scare me and I don't
scare
like
me
that.
and I don't like it. And you got kryptonite in your pants.
You know, one time he gave me money as a Christmas gift?
Who does that?
What a jerk.
That's actually a reference.
Yeah.
But Superman refers to an adventure in which like all the villains have banded together and they're all waiting for Batman, and so he says, and Superman's like, you can't face them or you'll die, and Batman says, and while they're trying to kill me, innocent people will not be killed, so take me to them. And so Superman brings Batman to them, and then he died. And then a doorway appears, and Batman's like, was that door always there? And the voice says, no, it wasn't. Now she says, well, does it matter? And he goes, I think it does matter.
I think it does.
Magic doorways?
Oh, let's pull him towards it. No.
Oh, I see. It's behind the...
Yeah, it's behind the casket.
Oh, that's cool. That's really cool, because it's one of those, like, you wouldn't have noticed necessarily.
Yeah.
They're like, hang on.
Oh, door.
Yeah.
So then Batman goes through the door.
This is amazing. I've never seen Kubert's art like that.
Yeah, I know.
That's really cool.
So he enters through the door, and he's figured it out. I'm not dead. I'm dying. My life is flashing before my eyes, but this isn't my life. Or at least, it's not my life. It's my lives. It's my many lives throughout everything. The person who's talking to him is his mother.
Oh, wow.
And he's figured it out, of course, already.
Of course.
But she says, so you've seen now your death. Have you learned anything? And he goes, what are you talking about? And she goes, well, you must have learned something. You've seen so many people talk. You've seen so many deaths. Like, you've seen so much in your life. What have you learned?
I learned that I can't stop.
Yeah.
Yeah, I won't stop.
And I will never stop.
This is great.
Yeah, and we get this double-page splash of...
This is great, too.
Yeah, where he talks about his deaths, and he's like, all the stories change, but the end result is always the same. That my end is that I die. And sometimes I die saving the universe from a giant robot, or sometimes I die fighting the Joker, or sometimes I die saving a child, or sometimes I die like an idiot in an alley by accident, and it's ironic. And so, but every end is the same. I die a hero, or I die as Batman, but I die as Batman the same.
So is the idea that like any one of these deaths is still a good death, and I'm happy to accept them?
It's similar to, you're echoing The Dark Knight Returns, where he's looking for a good death, and I guess that would quiet his mind by being like, they're all good. But no, it's more like he's learned that being Batman means you will die.
And you could have died any of these times, because these stories all happened.
Right.
And they're all plausible outcomes.
Kubert did that?
Yeah, that's Dave McKean's depiction of the cover from A Serious House on Serious Earth.
But done by Kubert.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, and you're seeing all these stories that actually did happen or happened in a comic you could read, I should say. Because there's argument to be made about McKean and Morrison's A Serious House. But like Nightfall, he could have died instead of getting his back broken. Year One, he could have died in this first adventure. She kind of gets to the heart of it by saying, like, you'll never stop fighting because you know that you can't fix the one thing that happened. You can't bring us back from the dead.
Right.
So you'll fight until you die. But there is a consolation to that end, to that being your ultimate fate, regardless of what continuity you're in or whatever. And it's that you get to be Batman. And being Batman is awesome.
I kind of think the consolation was you get to be with us afterwards.
No.
Well, the consolation is like you get to be Batman, and we all get to read about that, and that's cool for us.
That also. Well,
Yeah.
That's for us, but she says you get to be Batman, and that's, for us, it's like, yeah, and being Batman is dope. It's like that stupid meme where it's like, be the best person you can be unless you can be Batman. But
yeah, but you actually can be
you actually
Batman,
can
and
be,
you are Batman,
and you never want, and you never not will be.
Yeah.
And she says, but here's the thing about being Batman, right? Is that like there are a few crucial things to being Batman that are self-evident and forever. And there's a part of it which is that you will always be a child, you will always have parents who love you, and you will always have a few years of happiness. You can never not have that. And that is part of being Batman. You will fight until you die. You will be exhausted and broken and beaten and deal with monsters and horrible things in this world.
Right.
And die. But you will also be an instrument of great change and great heroism, and you will protect people, and you will have had a few precious moments with your parents.
And they can never take that away from you.
That's right.
So this is, in the meta sense, this is saying like in every there's so many versions of Batman. In
Yes.
every version of Batman, these things are true.
Well, and we'll
they
yes.
And they remain consistent throughout.
Yes.
There is a bar though?
Well, in this, there's a bar.
No. I'm just saying, like, I think that's really cool. Like, that there is a bar. It's not Joe Chill's there, and it is a rundown piece of crap bar. And
That
like,
is Joe Chill in the bar.
Is it really?
Yes.
But he's old?
He's old. Now we're seeing...
The reality? The reality within the story? Okay.
Because it's not
Well,
really,
because here's the
because
other
Batman
thing.
doesn't really die.
Right, I know, but like that's what's interesting about this. It's like this could be that reality,
Yes.
and that's why it's being
And
pulled
that's what
from
I
there.
think- yes,
because
they're
like
leaving.
Also in this Joe Chill is dressed like almost like the urchin from the beginning.
Yes.
Like that's just neat.
Well, and here's the thing. Because I think this is indicating a reboot. Because Joe Chill is old as Batman and his mother leave.
Mm-hmm.
He gets to see. As you can see, they cast shadows on everything they pass.
Mm-hmm.
And so they get to see Batman, Bruce Wayne, being happy with his parents. It's the night before... It's the night they die.
Mm-hmm.
But they're reading the Good Night book.
Yeah.
Which was actually earlier in the book as well.
Yeah.
But they're reading the Good Night book, and his mother's reading it to him, and Thomas is like, isn't he too old for that? We're going to see the movie. Come on. And the movie's going to have, like, cool theatrics and killing and stuff like that. And
Something for everyone. Come on.
but Martha says, but he likes it, so let's let him have it. And so they cast a shadow on that, and then they cast a shadow on the bar that Joe Chill runs. Incidentally, if you really look at Joe Chill in this is an old Joe Chill, so it's Batman when he was a boy and then Batman when he's dead.
Yeah.
So Joe Chill has aged.
Right.
And they're passing by his origin, and we're seeing Joe Chill as a young man. So this is, for all intents and purposes, the post-crisis Batman origin, or the pre-crisis Batman origin, maybe, depending on how old they are, or what. As you can tell from their clothing, we're indicating a bygone era.
Yes.
Right.
It's like 20s or 30s.
But if you look closely at Joe Chill, by the way, that's Joe Kubert. Like Andy Drew's dad.
Oh.
I think it's sweet, but
it's
also
nice,
like
but that's weird.
That's Joe Chill, man.
Yeah.
But it's also cool. Like I was like, the second I saw him, I'm like, oh my god, he drew Joe Kubert.
Look,
That's so cool.
there's only so many old men in this book, right?
Exactly. And like everybody knows what Gordon looks like. He can't make his
Yeah.
dad Gordon.
No, and here's the thing, like this is.
Don't worry, Dad. I put you in my book.
Yeah.
I killed Batman's
Thanks, son.
parents.
No, the guy who I drew you as killed his parents. It's not literally you, Dad. You're you.
Yeah.
It's just art, man.
Yeah. By the way,
I just did a nice thing for you. I can never do enough for you.
I do love that she's wearing the outfit he remembers.
he remembers her wearing.
Yeah.
Yeah. Is this the part where I wake up in a hospital or with Alfred or whatever? And she goes, not this time. And then he goes, you know, I don't really believe in an afterlife. I've tried, but I don't. So I don't understand. Like,
So what is
so
this?
what
What
is
do
this?
what are we doing here?
Right. Like, are you real? And she, like,
Are you sending me back, or we should each other up?
yeah. He goes, are you even here? And she goes, I've always been here.
Aw.
And so they leave, and she's like, it's over now. So say goodbye to the things that make you who you are. And so the book becomes the Good Night book that he reads, but about Batman.
Oh, that's cool because there's a bat on the back of the book when they're reading it.
Yeah. It's the bat. It looks like the bat signal.
Yeah.
But it's a bat against the moon. Yeah. So then Batman says goodnight to all the things that make Batman who he is. All the things that will be evident, that were in the deaths of those Batmans and in every Batman story that will be told forever. Which is, he says goodnight to his house, the cave, the mechanical dinosaur, the giant penny. These are things that are like, you're always going to get those.
Yeah.
The Batmobile, the Boy Wonder, goodnight Joker, goodnight all of you. Like, Joker is the one you always have to have. And the rest. Good night, Jim Gordon, Gotham City. Like, Jim's there, Gotham's there. You know, Bullock could be there, Montoya could be there, Barbara could be there, but not always. The things that are there, Batmobile, Robin, Jim, City, Alfred, Joker, the gang, the house, the money, the penny, the dinosaur. Good night, Bat Signal, and then good night, Stars in the Night Sky, good night, and then the bat signal in the sky morphs into a bat, and then the bat morphs into hands, which then deliver Bruce Wayne as a baby to Martha. And when you look at like the surrounding and the clothing that the people are wearing, this is like 1980 something. So it's Bruce Wayne being born for the next reboot.
Right.
That's
the one that
awesome.
we're currently on.
Because I saw that here. She says like you can stop fighting now just for a few more years. It's over. Like
this Batman can die.
yeah.
Right.
Or Batman always dies. And then he gets to be Batman again. Then the rest has like fun sketches and stuff.
That's a cool ending.
Batman gets to say goodbye. He gets a minute to actually process his own death. And then we get to start over again.
That's
But
incredible.
in a different way.
Gaiman simultaneously gave them the end of Batman and also like the and this is how you explain how he just keeps coming back. Like
Yeah. Oh no.
damn.
And this is Gaiman's last Batman story. He says he's not going to write anymore.
That's fair. I mean,
Yeah,
how
I
would
wouldn't
you
after
top
this.
And why wouldn't he?
Yeah.
Fine.
Well, you know, of course.
You're good.
He's like, I wrote the last Batman story.
It's good for you.
Right.
Dope, that's it.
Yeah.
It's the last time that Alan Moore wrote for Superman. It's the last time Neil Gaiman will write for Batman. I don't believe that. But Neil
Well-
Gaiman is a man of integrity who also doesn't need a paycheck
Right.
from DC Comics. So, like, I could believe it.
It's a little harder to believe than with Moore because Moore like is off all DC Comics
Right.
forever.
Yeah, Moore will never
Those bridges
work for
are
DC.
like
Burned and
nuked.
gone. Yeah,
Yeah.
nuked.
Whereas with Neil Gaiman, there's no reason he can't keep writing for
This is-
DC.
It's right.
This is cool.
Oh, yeah, no. There's Kubert drawing, like, David Mazzucchelli or whatever.
That's cool.
Or Norm Brayfogle. Yeah.
So Batman gets to like have his happy years again.
Yeah, well, yeah, exactly. The Batman now, he gets to be a baby and then grow up under loving parents and, you know, and then get to fight forever until he dies.
Again.
And be well off.
Yeah.
Well, sure, but he doesn't, you know, he doesn't really get to enjoy that money.
No. But you're not
Sometimes
grown
he
up-
does a little bit.
You're not growing up in the slums
I
again.
think he enjoys living in that mansion sometimes.
Who doesn't?
You know?
No, that's true.
That's funny.
Yeah, Batmite got to be a sketch. He's not actually in the story.
He didn't
Yeah.
make it into the book, but
Which I'm kind of glad he didn't.
yeah,
Because Batmite only really represents a very, very, very small, narrow period in Batman's history.
Yeah.
And Morrison used him a lot during this period. He's not really Batmite. It's more like a hallucination from drugs, but even still.
From Venom.
No, we read that book. It's from like heroin or something.
Yeah, I vaguely remember that.
Whatever happened to the Cape Crusader is, you know, it's more introspective than whatever happened to the Man of Tomorrow. It's
Yeah.
also not like Gaiman
Well,
also expertly manages to mire it in its own continuity while also elevating it from it.
Yeah.
Which Alan Moore managed to do as well. You know, Moore's like, okay, well, this is what's happening, or this is what I want to reference, but this is also what's going on in the story. And so he has like villains show up and he fights them all. Like, you know, whatever happened to the Man of Tomorrow is a rousing Superman adventure that is told, you know, from the perspective of Superman, practically.
Right. And it's a thing that you could say, like, it could actually happen.
Right.
It was
And,
an
like,
event.
the way it was drawn and written, it actually
Or
occurred.
it will happen someday.
And it will happen at the end if all the books that people are going to write after me weren't to occur.
Yes.
No,
In a
it's
way. I'm sorry,
I was
guys.
gonna say this is a celebration of like Batman, the lore surrounding him,
Yes.
the time
Yeah.
he's had, and the characters who surround him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, in a way, like with Superman, that's a story that could happen. This is the story that always happens.
Right, exactly. This is yeah. Well, Gaiman gives it that gravitas. I'm not saying the one's better than the other, but I think they're both perfect in their exploration of the character and their conceit.
Don't worry, I'll say it. This is better.
Okay.
Well, I think it also like depends. I mean, they're two
different.
very different characters.
Yeah,
in
well,
two
and-
different scenarios.
And they're two different writers who had different interpretations and experiences with those characters. Moore really wanted to tell a story about the last Superman story, and he wanted to celebrate the elements that he celebrated. Gaiman also loves Batman and wants to tell a story about the last Batman tale. And by doing so, he's like, but I also think that these are the things that make Batman who he is. And what's funny is, of course, like we don't get to really get into Batman's training or, you know, his favorite movie or anything. We're really defining Batman by the things that make him who he is on the his external stimuli. His parents, his villains, his servant, like the things that are around Batman.
Yeah.
So, and that's what he's celebrating.
So,
That's why we see like Bullock a lot, but we don't see any comment from Mr. Freeze or even Batgirl. Really.
Yeah.
Like Barbara doesn't get to say anything except respond to her father. She doesn't actually weigh in on Batman at all, and she is a casualty of Batman's actions.
Yeah.
So
did you pick this as a holiday book because of the fact that typically during the holidays it's coming at the end of the year, and once we hit the new year, it's time for like that like introspective like review of how things have been going and like a chance for the new, and that's kind of what happens with Batman?
Sure.
And Batman is currently deceased.
Okay, there's so many things wrong with what you just said, but we'll talk about that later.
In the meantime, I want to thank you all so much for watching, and we'll see you guys next time with another episode of Back Issues. Well, Back Issues will be ending right now. It will be continuing in the new year, so we'll see you guys then. Thanks a lot for watching, and of course, thank you all so much for continuing to watch, continuing to be a subscriber, and enjoying this show for so many years. If you want to buy this, and I highly suggest it if you like Batman, description below, grab the link, click it, and buy it. You know, it's a treat. It's a beautiful story and a fun exploration of a character that you probably know backwards and forwards, but maybe you don't.
And it's always excellent to actually read the words written by Gaiman in particular.
That's
like
true.
He's got a very specific way of saying things.
Yes, he does. They're very deliberate.
Yeah, I definitely want to read this book.
Yeah, so feel free to borrow it.
I'll fight you for it.
Go first. It's okay.
It's okay.
We'll deal with this
Don't
later.
worry.
We'll work it
the
out.
link below the video.
Yeah, you
get
guys
a copy.
click the link. Yeah. Make sure you all get one. But we'll see you guys next time. Thanks a lot for watching. Happy holidays from all of us here at ComicPop. Goodbye. I'm Sal.
I'm Ethan.
I'm Ben.
And I'm Tiffany.
I said goodbye before.
Yeah, you did.
Yeah, now it's awkward for us to say our names.
I know,
Thanks.
damn it.
Well.
Just sing. Just sing.
La, 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 la.